friends. Steve out in the barn, and as I sort of promised a few days ago, a few weeks ago, I'm going to show you a piece of Thelma's family history. I want to read this first. This was written on October 21, 1945 by Thelma's paternal grandmother, Gladys Chipman Thurlow. Uncle Harry's grandmother Montford's brother's chest went around the world, was on the seas about 2 years. She was a Blanchard. The chest fell to Aunt Hattie Pulsifer, then to Uncle Harry. Request to be handed to Alfred M. Thurlow, which was Thelma's grandfather, then to one of his children, which would have been her father, then to one of their children, which is Thelma. So, now I'm going to show you the chest. And let me put that down here, because I got some other stuff to show you too. Anyway, this is that old sea chest. Of course, it doesn't look much like a sea chest with these flowers on the front. And on the end, I don't know if I can show you, but it's got this old rope that was all braided together on both ends. I don't know whether that's original rope or not, but anyway, it's got rope on. We used it as a toy chest for our boys when they were growing up, so it got pretty well beat on. And one of the hinges here got broken, and I butchered it up by putting 2 modern hinges. And that note that I just read, that's a copy of the note. That was in this little cubby hole on the end. It's got some stains in there. And there was a rack here in the bottom for something else that slid in there. We don't have that. And then on this end, there are slots, up and down slots here, and little slots on the end. I have no idea what that was all about. But anyway, and it's just a pine box. It's not even hardwood. It's pine, and it's about 17 inches high, 17 inches deep, and I think I measured it 42 inches long. So that's that. Now, I want to show you some other family history that I've kind of cleaned up here. We got some portraits. These are 16 by 20 inch portraits. I think they were painted. I don't think they're from photographs. They don't look photographic at all. This is Thelma's grandfather, Forrest Alonzo Austin, on her mother's side. This is her grandmother, Florence Rowe Austin. And these, like I said, these are 16 by 20 inch portraits. Okay, then I have their actual, am I looking at it? Wedding certificate from 1906. This is 120 years old. That frame is an antique. Can you imagine? And that's 18 by 14. That's a slightly smaller, is outside of the frame the same size, but it's a slightly smaller frame. And then over here, back to her father's family, this is her grandfather, Thurlow, Alfred M. Thurlow, which would have been senior, her dad was a junior, was granted the degree of Flora in the Order of the Patriots of Husbandry, patrons of husbandry, the Grange, I guess. And I don't know, I couldn't see the date on this. Maybe I just didn't look far enough, but it's back there. I'm sure it's 100 years ago. So these have been stored. These came from probably her grandmother's place. Thelma's mother grew up on this same street, about 5 houses down, and her grandmother, Thelma's grandmother, lived there with one of her aunts until she wound up in the nursing home. And then another aunt lived in the next house down, I believe it was the next house, maybe 2 houses down, which was a historic Mechanic Falls house. the Bucknam house. Daniel Bucknam, who was a captain, I think, in one of the armed, I don't know whether it was the Civil War or the Revolutionary War. He's buried just over in Minot here in a little cemetery. But Bucknam Street is, anyway, her whole family, her mother's whole family grew up and lived and died pretty much on this street. And these were probably in her grandmother's house, and somewhere along the line, her Thelma had one cousin on that side, and she's gone now, and this all got into her possession. Have a nice day, folks. Have a great weekend.